Welcome back to Shadows Unearthed. I hope you're ready to lose yourself in the darkness, because tonight's tale is not just a story, it's a warning. Some houses are more than wood and stone. Some houses are hungry. This is the story of the house that whispers back. I never believed in haunted houses. I thought ghost stories were just that, stories. But desperation makes you ignore the obvious. That's how I ended up at 42 Willow Lane, clutching the keys to a house nobody else wanted. The house was old, its yellow paint peeling, windows clouded with dust. The yard was overgrown, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and rotting leaves. The realtor's handshake was cold, her eyes darting to the darkened windows behind me. "It's a quiet place," she said, voice trembling. "You'll have all the privacy you want." Inside, the silence was thick. Each step echoed as if the house was listening. The floorboards groaned under my feet, and the air felt wrong. Like something was waiting. I told myself it was just nerves. I unpacked, made coffee, and tried to ignore the way the shadows seemed to gather in the corners, just out of reach. That first night, the house came alive. It started with a tapping sound, soft, deliberate, like fingernails on wood. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, heart pounding. The tapping moved, crawling along the walls, circling the room. Then, silence. I was drifting off when I heard it. A whisper. So faint, I thought I was dreaming. My name, breathed out from the darkness. I sat up, every hair on my body standing on end. "Just the wind," I whispered to myself. But the windows were closed, and the air was still. Over the next few days, the house grew bolder. I'd find things out of place. A chair moved, my toothbrush on the floor, lights flickering for no reason. I tried to laugh it off, blaming my own forgetfulness. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The whispers grew louder at night. Sometimes I'd hear laughter, a child's giggle echoing down the hallway. Other times, a woman's voice, weeping softly behind the walls. I started seeing things. Shadows darted at the edge of my vision. Faces appeared in the mirrors, gone when I looked straight at them. I'd wake up to find my bedroom door open, though I always locked it. Once, I woke to the feeling of icy fingers brushing my hair, but when I turned on the light, I was alone. I became obsessed. I stopped sleeping, stopped eating. I spent hours at the library, digging through old records. I learned that 42 Willow Lane had a history, a dark one. Families moved in, then vanished. Neighbors reported screams in the night. Strange lights in the windows. One article described a family found huddled in the basement, eyes wide with terror, unable to speak. The house sat empty for years, until I came along. I found an old photograph of children playing on the porch, a woman watching from the window. Her face was blurred, but her eyes were sharp, almost alive. I felt them following me, even as I closed the book. The house didn't want me to leave. Doors jammed, windows stuck. My phone died, the screen flickering with static. I tried to call for help, but the line was dead. The whispers turned to voices, angry, pleading, desperate. "Stay with us," they begged. "Don't leave. We're so lonely." The air grew colder. I saw handprints on the bathroom mirror, small, childlike, pressed into the fog. My reflection began to change. Eyes hollow, mouth twisted in a silent scream. One night, I woke to the sound of footsteps on the stairs. Slow, deliberate, coming closer. I hid under the covers, heart racing, as the footsteps stopped outside my door. The handle turned and the door creaked open. A shadow stood in the doorway, tall, thin, its face a blur of shifting darkness. It whispered my name, voice echoing in my mind. I couldn't move, couldn't scream. The shadow drifted closer, cold, seeping into my bones. Desperate, I ran. The house twisted around me, hallways stretched, doors vanished. I stumbled up the stairs, drawn by a whisper that was now a scream. In the attic, I found a door I'd never seen before. It was small, almost hidden behind a pile of boxes. The whispers urged me forward. Inside, the walls were covered in names hundreds, scratched into the wood. Some were old, faded. Others were fresh, bleeding. In the center of the room stood a mirror, tall and cracked. My reflection stared back at me, eyes wide with terror. Behind me, shadows gathered, their faces twisted in agony. They reached for me, cold hands closing around my arms. The mirror shimmered, one, and I saw Flash's families trapped, screaming, their faces pressed against the glass. The house was a prison. It fed on fear, trapping souls in its walls. I was next. I fought, clawing at the hands, screaming for help. The shadows shrieked, their voices merging into a deafening roar. The mirror cracked, splintering the room with shards of darkness. Suddenly, the attic door burst open. Light flooded in, burning the shadows away. I stumbled out, down the stairs, through the front door which now swung open as if inviting me to leave. I ran into the night, never looking back. I never returned to 42 Willow Lane. The house sits empty, windows dark, door always unlocked. Sometimes I drive past at night and see lights flicker in the attic. I hear laughter drifting on the wind. If you ever find yourself on Willow Lane, don't stop at number 42. Some houses whisper, some houses remember, and if you listen too closely, you might never leave. Thank you for joining me tonight in the shadows. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Shadows Unearthed. For more scary stories, like and subscribe.